Well, we are not nice to each other.
No. What was the last
It's part of our
episode?
charm. We're not nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're usually terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I was totally
We don't even have our sound
We don't even
things
have
or
the
anything.
sound.
Okay, we're going
rogue.
raw dogging
I was
this
gonna say,
one.
we
There's
can't
no
hear
Raw
anything,
dogging.
nothing.
we have no headphones.
It's like, no TikTok, no
Yeah.
This shit is going
We
down.
normally have
Today
that,
is
like,
different.
We have a music. We have a music.
We have a music
gosh.
thing.
Jesus.
We have an Instagram.
We've got it all.
Early to do this podcast.
Whoa.
Oh no!
Oh my god, it's really.
I was
going
gonna say,
off the
wait,
rails.
we're gonna do this in the dark?
Oh my god.
Bro, this is a whole nother level.
Bruh.
You don't have to do. Oh, you're changing the colors.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Is it
You
gonna
don't have
show
to
that
do the
on?
music.
Okay, I won't do the music. But I will do our colors though.
Yeah,
There
I
we
feel
go.
like I'm in a rave.
You have music?
Oh
Yeah,
my
we have
gosh.
a.
You'll
theme
hear it.
song.
You'll
Oh,
hear
okay,
it.
okay,
You'll hear
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
You guys have music though.
Yeah. I
but
thought
we
you
can't
meant like
hear
you
it,
have
like, in
background
person.
music.
No,
like,
no, we definitely
I was
don't
like,
have background music.
okay.
Not for a podcast.
was
People
like,
don't want to hear
damn.
that. People don't want to hear that.
That's why I was like, I didn't know you could do that.
No.
They're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
There's music.
Can't
everyone's
stay
talking.
focused.
No.
I hope you guys have been recording this whole time because this
We have
Yeah,
been. We have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
This is the intro.
We're-
Oh, good. Here we are.
Oh yeah, welcome to Weddings Uncensored, where we drink and talk and drink. I'm Kyle.
I am Allie. And we are here to break down the good, the bad, and the downright crazy of the whole wedding industry. And we are here to... Oh, cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
Why
Cheers.
are you putting my phone down, fucker?
Jesus, grab it right from my face. We want to welcome our gorgeous guests here today. We have Nicole Kirshner and Abbi Cooley on the podcast today to talk all things wedding photography. They are both fabulous business owners of their own wedding photography businesses based in Orange County. And together they have formed an even greater, source. Insta famous Savvy the Workshop, where they have created an inclusive space for wedding photographers to learn and grow their businesses. And we're going to get into all of it. Talk about the drama and spill some tea.
Ooh,
possibly.
Let's get into
Yeah, let's get interesting.
all the tea.
Possibly.
We're here for the
We
tea.
want to hear all the juicy stuff.
All the juicy stories. But let's just start with you guys kind of introducing yourselves about your businesses, how you met. Give us like the 1 minute version. You have 1 minute on the clock.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm Abbi. I have been doing photo for like 10 years or so. I feel like the grandma of this industry. We talk all the time about when's the last time you saw like an over 35-year-old wedding photographer. It's like very rare,
They're all
right?
babies these
They're all
days.
Yeah,
babies.
yeah.
So I'm the grandma. But yeah, Nikki and I met because she hit on me in the DMs, which is my favorite story to tell.
Which is why when you were like, we're going to tell a story, I was like, great, here we
Yeah.
go. Here we go.
You can just clip like all the times I bring this up because it just makes my ego shine. Yeah.
I'm into it.
Yeah, imagine. Like, I'm over here like, yeah, that
Yeah,
happened.
I slid into her DM.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
No, yeah, she just was like, hey, what do you think? You, me, workshop. I think your work's great. I feel like we would be friends. I was like, let's see if I like you first. Let's like go have dinner.
That sounds like something I would do. Nicole.
Yeah.
So I
Also,
know
like,
it.
what a creep, right?
Yeah, no, that's so a me move though.
Yeah.
So much.
This is exactly.
I love you. We're just do a workshop
yeah, like,
together.
literally embarrassing.
I
Okay.
love you.
Yeah.
And then you guys
Cool.
got drunk together on your
Yep.
first date, right?
Yeah, how did you
did.
know?
Because
Did you read our
Of course
website?
I did. I did my research. I'm a good podcaster. I do
Thank
my
you so
research.
much. I heard the inclusive space. I was like, oh, she's done her homework. That's a tagline from the website. Love
Actually,
you
back
for
in
that.
this area, we came to this neck of like this area when we did our first ever
Yep.
date
Nikki
night.
used to live like right across the street. So
Yeah.
yep, we were in this hood and it's been,
The hood of Tustin.
the hood
Yeah.
of Tustin,
Yeah, literally.
Irvine,
Tustin,
the
Irvine.
hood of
hood.
Tustin.
For all of our
Yeah.
viewers who doesn't know that Tustin is the most non-hood
We are
area
in the
of Orange
safest
County.
Very suburban.
neighborhood in
The
America.
most non-hood area.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
how long have you been doing your business for, Nikki?
So I went full time in 2018. So I not as long as Abbi over here,
the
grandma.
Thank you. Thank
We're the
you.
same.
Yeah.
2018 as well.
2018.
You're like
yeah.
an auntie. You're like an
Full-
old
there
auntie,
you
not quite
go,
the
there
grandma.
you go, yeah.
I'm a grandma with you. It's been
Okay,
10 years
thank
for
you.
me too.
This
so.
is why I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I went full time in 2018, and yeah, I've just been doing it ever since. So I went full time, but I was obviously shooting prior to that. It's just kind of was one of those things where it's like, if you're gonna do this, got to go now. Time to go.
For
So
sure. And Savvy the workshop, the inclusive space for wedding photographers learning the business, is really becoming its own thing. And we have to give a shout out to one of my coordinators, Taylor,
oh my God,
who worked as a coordinator with Nikki, who was shooting the wedding. And she is like such a fan and was fangirling so hard, like texting me from the wedding and was like, oh my God, you'll never believe who's shooting. And I'm like, I know her.
But she didn't know though. She didn't like put the two together or anything.
It's its own thing right now. So what do you guys do with Savvy the workshop?
It started as a workshop, as
I was going to say, we got to bring you into this.
Trenches with us for our first workshop, which was like down and dirty, really hard, but ended up being this amazing, like super sick, event that thanks to you.
All thanks to you.
We made it work.
Literally, you are the founder of Savvy. Like you're a part of this whole thing.
Yeah, and that was like the thing at the time. We're like, I don't know, it sounds fun. Let's host a retreat, a little workshop situation. And from there, we realized our steez really isn't in like the planning side of things, which is a lot of what hosting a workshop is.
Yeah.
Right.
It's more so like the heart of the education. So right now we're kind of online, heavy focused guides,
education,
posing course, all that kind of stuff. So just helping as many photographers as we can to kind of rise the tide, right, of the industry. And
I love that. Cool. Okay, well, this podcast is mostly based on education for couples that are shopping and planning. So kind of starting at the very beginning of the planning process for couples that are still researching photographers. There's a million lists on like the knot.com about like questions to ask your photographer. And we talk all the time about how much we hate that shit.
Do people use the knot still?
I can always tell.
I tell people not to use it.
Yeah.
Not to use.
Danger zone.
Not to use it. I can always tell though, because it's like when couples are like interviewing us and they have like a very specific questions that they're asking. You know what I mean? I'm like, you pulled this online, which is fine.
Yeah.
No shade. Like it's always a good place
how
to
are they
start.
supposed to know?
Exactly.
Right. They Google it all, and that's what ends up happening.
And there's no questions that are really dumb questions. No vendor should make you feel dumb for like the questions that you're asking, I think.
Right.
But in your opinion, what are like some actual questions that they should be asking or things that they should be spotting on websites or like in the beginning of their research phase?
Well, for starters, I think that nowadays there are so many photographers out there. So just in general, doing your research, just like knowing that it's more than just an Instagram, right? And it's like knowing that like you can literally create an entire bomb feed, which is going to styled shoots these days, and like it's very common, which is great, right? It's good to be able to build to your portfolio. But at the end of the day, just being really conscious of like who you're booking, how you're booking, asking questions like, just knowing how long they've been doing this, if they have experience, to see a portfolio if you want, or even just also like knowing what their backup system is. Like if something were to fail, like, do you shoot on 2 cards? Like just asking questions that maybe not every bride would think to ask.
Yeah.
And I think getting on the phone with that kind of stuff
so
and
important.
feeling out how confident someone feels in those answers, because we'll be honest, Instagram is like catfish central for photographers. Exactly what you said.
Totally.
It's very, very easy to look like you know what you're doing. And so sometimes I think a nice question to ask yourself as a bride is, do I like these photos because the people in them are hot and the surrounding is trendy? Or do I like these photos because this person is talented? I can feel the emotion through their work. You know what I mean? I love their editing style or whatever it is. Right. So just kind of like being your own investigator before you even reach out and think, because they might not even know, you know what I mean? What's a styled shoot to a bride? Yeah. That just means that photographers are out here showing up to fake weddings styled, which we host, so there's nothing wrong with that. It's great. But they might not actually have, any experience.
Right. Or even just like the ability to pose a couple, right? It's like they just are standing there and all of it is happening right in front of them and they just have to shoot it. So essentially just doing your research, I think, or even just having multiple conversations with different people and just to get a little bit more familiar with it, Yeah,
for sure. I think, we talked a little bit on one of the episodes about styled shoots, and like kind of the dangers of it. I have like a real kind of moral issue with it when it's not very clearly labeled, like in the caption.
Oh, yeah.
And that, styled shoots are with models.
Yeah.
Right.
And there are endless amounts of time that you have created to take this shot. And
1,000%.
It is nothing like a real event. Literally
nothing
and
like
they're
a real
also
event. Being posed by not the person shooting it.
Yes.
But by the people. Like
and
the one.
grandma is not in the background, and there aren't servers coming in to rush in with trays of appetizers and all the other millions of things happening. So
that's
like
such a good point.
It is not the same.
Right.
We're not on a timeline crunch like
You get to control everything.
Yeah.
The photographers or the styled shoot, you get to control everything. You
Right.
know what florals are there.
Right.
You know the people. You know
Lighting,
all the vendors. You
Perfect
control the
lighting. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You
Right.
get to control everything. Whereas a wedding, an actual wedding, it's a, as Ali says, it's a live event. Shit goes wrong all the fucking time.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
And that's part of the challenging part and why you get paid what you do to do your job on the day is you are constantly dealing with moving pieces and shit that is not ideal, right? So
right.
what are some things that come up on the day that you, I mean, over years of work have like learned to prepare for, or things that like, I was thinking about this on the way over here, like things that couples could do to tell you to like help you better prepare, right? You know, we talked about family drama and like it would be really nice if I had known that your stepdad was such a dick ahead of time so I could have like avoided, you know, A, B, and C situation.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing, at least from my perspective, is timeline. Like timelines fall back obviously so easily, and it's one of those things where it's like you have to be able to communicate with the planner, the coordinator, right? But also like building in extra time to give yourself the ability to, if things do fall behind, you can kind of catch up. Otherwise, it's all on us, right?
Right. And what it is that the couple can do is just 100% trust in your photographer, which makes me scared to say, because if it's not someone who knows what they're doing, then I don't know. But
scary.
Literally, Nikki and I say this all the time. I can't tell you how many times, and not just with timeline, but so many things where like we can educate to our couples that like we've shot 100 weddings. We know that hair and makeup always runs late no matter what. Build in an extra 20 minutes for that. Tell them they need to be done 20 minutes before. And they're like, whatever, we don't care, we don't listen. And then on the day of, they're like, damn, I'm so sorry, I should have listened to you.
Right.
It happens all the time. Right. So if you can like find someone who you know is super professional, super experienced, and just like lean into letting them. And I'm sure you feel the same as a planner, right?
Yeah.
And video.
Right.
Yeah, of course. Trust your vendors to do their job.
Right.
And that is why you hire real vendors and you don't have your cousin coordinate and, you know, your uncle DJ and all of that. Maybe they're lovely
because it makes a
they're
difference.
lovely humans, but you can just feel it. Like the wedding I planned on Friday just had such an A-team of vendors, and it's like as a coordinator, like I feel like I float through the day.
Yes,
Totally.
It feels so
like,
good.
Oh my God.
It should be. It does.
Right.
And that should be the easy part. I'm like, I trust you to do your job. I trust you to do your job.
That's
like,
how it should be.
It should be.
Right.
No one should be babysitting each other.
Right.
You shouldn't be having to make up for the planner who's running late or whatever. I mean, it is a team effort. Shit's gonna happen.
Right.
But absolutely hiring professionals that know what they're doing. That
such
is
a difference.
what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And I love talking about timeline. That's my favorite topic. Logistics and timeline is the only thing I like talking about.
Yeah.
That's what you're hired for.
I know.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. Like, do you guys start talking about that with clients right away? Because I can always tell. Yes, I can always tell like a good photographer when I'm talking to a client and they're like, okay, my photographer's already given me this time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, gorgeous.
Right.
Love that. How does that process work for you guys?
We both are a little different, but pretty much the same. For the most part, it's like as much information in the very beginning as they can. So like as soon as first of all, after a phone call, we talk a little bit about it, very small, not like a whole lot. Like we just touch on it. And then once they actually book, I send everything right up front. Cause I'm like, I know that you have a lot going on. I have a lot coming on. I don't want a bajillion questions coming at me like randomly. If I can like make any kind of adjustment to that, like anything at all, it's like just giving them as much information in the very beginning so that they feel taken care of with timelines, questionnaires, all that stuff. So then they can take it at their pace to like kind of go as they want to. Plus they have to have communication with you. They have to have communication with other vendors and stuff. So just like being completely upfront, giving them everything that they feel like I'm taken care of. They've got me. They've got my back.
What exactly are you giving them?
So we have a bunch of stuff, right? It's like we have a timeline, a sample timeline. I have an example family shot list because the other thing too, for me, I'm like, anytime I show up and this bride and groom has like a shot list of 50 or more, I'm like, there's absolutely no way we're going to get through all that. Yeah. So it's like educating them on like, make sure, I always tell them 15 groupings or less, and I give them examples of how to do it, how to break it down. Parents, siblings, grandparents, whatever. Aunts, uncles, all together. We can do a bigger group. Yeah, we don't have to do necessarily one with each person. It doesn't need to be that way. And like really think about it. What photos are you going to be hanging up in your house, right? Like what are you going to see down your hallway? Is Aunt Joe and Uncle Sam, whatever, are they really going to be in your hallway? Probably not, right? And I try to tell them from a bride's perspective. I try to tell them like I was a bride. Every single photo in my house is literally me and my husband.
Yeah.
and one of my immediate family.
Yeah.
That is it. Other than that, like
get the one group shot to give to grandma to hang on her, whatever.
Totally.
But literally, that's it. You don't need every possible combination.
Right.
Of
Think
family.
of this as like it's your day, and how do you want the day to be portrayed? What do you want to look back on? 30 years down the road, 10 years down, whatever. What do you want to see, right? So timeline example, family shot list example, and then questionnaires that is just like questions about their day, just so that I'm prepared and I'm well aware and I'm not asking them a bajillion questions up until like the day of. Yep. But then we go over everything on their final phone call. So that's at least how I do it. I know we're pretty similar.
We're close to the same. Everything she just said, it's also a really good sales point for photographers, but also for brides to understand that when you get on that initial phone call with your photographer, if they're giving you all that education right up front, they know their shit, right? They know what they're doing. They're going to take care of you. They're confident. They don't hesitate at any question you ask. And so that's why we provide a lot of that, because it's partly a sales tactic too, to be like, hey, I know what I'm doing. Right.
But we also sell all of it on Saturday, right? So that's what all of this started, right?
It's like, with.
Right. We have questionnaires. We have all these things. Here's everything you need to know in order to be a successful photographer, to make your couple feel taken care of, essentially.
And I feel like right now, everything is so trendy. So for brides, they probably just see a fun photographer who's shooting like a bunch of disco ball weddings and cowgirl hats or whatever the trends are. And they're like, I just know I want to work with her. You know what I mean? And they might not prioritize all this like information at first. They might feel like that's a lot. I'm overwhelmed. I don't want someone who's so like this. But exactly what you said, you're going to feel stressed on your day and you're not going to get what you want if you're not working with someone who has all those boxes checked before. And then on the day of, show up with a speaker, play some fun music, and have fun with them. But beforehand, get your ducks in a row.
Right.
And then you're ready to go.
Oh, and how many times a photographer, like a second shooter, has come up and been like, wait, you only do a 15 shot list?
Yeah.
And that's the only shot list you work off of on the entire day? And I'm like, try to educate your couples. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, they don't know, right? So it's like, they have no idea. And they're like, oh my gosh, I just spent last wedding so much time on this family shot list that was like 50 people. And there was no time in the day to even get pictures of the two of them because it was just taken up. And I was like,
and then what was the bride's attitude during those photos?
Pissed.
Irritated.
Pissed.
Tired of
so
smiling.
pissed.
No one's listening.
Yeah. Just like stank face.
So funny. I always make such a huge deal out of that when I talk timeline with people, and I'm like, I realize that we're spending like 30 minutes talking about family photos, but it's because
I know
I've seen people in tears like over at that being like the most stressful part of their day, and it doesn't have to be.
No.
So
and that's what we say though. We tell them that on the phone call. It's like, hey, I have had so many bride and grooms where literally at family photos, that's when they are fed up. They're over it. They're done. They don't want to deal with the million amount of different people with their conversations, their opinions, everything. So it's like, if you could at least eliminate one part or the one thing that stresses our couples out the most, we are telling you this because we have your back. We're not doing this because it's not going to help us in any kind of way.
Help you.
Yeah, so we don't care. Exactly. But just at least let us try to help you have an easy and, successful day if we can.
That's one area where I'm happy to be the videographer.
Totally.
Yeah, I bet.
Because,
we are
man,
so
like,
bitter.
hey, the family photos.
No.
I was like, it's a family photos.
Yeah.
I'll see you later. I'm going to go get details.
Yeah.
I'm going to go sit down for a second.
Wait,
See ya.
which is actually so funny because I just shot a wedding where a videographer was standing next to me through the whole family session. I do like, singles with like parents and all that stuff where they're like all these little things and they're in my frame in like all the family photos. And I'm like, wait, what do you guys need this for? So that's so interesting.
Yeah, I don't. I'm sorry.
You're like, goodbye.
It definitely was not me. I'm
was
sorry
not
for
me.
whover you worked with.
know.
Videographers, stop doing that.
I mean, you
Stop.
never know.
I was gonna
Maybe
say-
Stop
it's
it.
like nice content.
They don't want it. I wouldn't want it. I don't need video of family photos.
they're just kinda standing
it's
there.
a photo.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, there are photo moments. There are video moments.
Yep.
This is a family.
That's actually
you
a
call
good
it
point.
family photos.
Right.
It's not family
Video.
videos because they're not even looking at the
I
camera
know.
or doing something cute. Like
I'm like maybe for like the hugs in between and stuff, but otherwise,
even
they're
then,
just standing.
it's not making the film.
Yeah.
It's not making the film.
Yeah.
No.
I think that's a good transition though to talk about the photo and video dynamic because
Ooh, spicy.
I have to get into the tea.
Get all your hot takes out at me, and
I'm
I
like
will.
laser
I will reiterate on what I feel like most videographers
Well, luckily,
should be doing.
we've never
or at least
worked
what I
with
did.
you,
True,
so we have
true.
no idea,
Not yet,
right?
Not yet.
But it is like, for people who don't know, there is like a potential drama, like issues. I mean, they're fighting for the same shot a lot of the times. But I do like that idea that there are like photo moments and video moments. They shouldn't really be the same.
Well, speaking of timeline, we actually just had another videographer on our podcast and talked this out. And kind of where we ended up was that for photo, I think we get a little bit like ego or in our head because we're the ones dealing with the couple a lot of times on timeline and stuff beforehand. So like we're building it out to what we need. And we feel like if video needs extra time to step in and get that, then they need to communicate that to the couple or, you know, the planner, because we don't know what their process is. And in our heads, we're saying for
You're
video.
more important than video.
No!
Here he goes.
But we're thinking
just-
if we're standing there posing them, that like from our perspective, we're shooting it because we're posing it, and that video shooting it from another angle or
Yes.
perspective.
Right.
And so what we learned is video feels like we're just like shit on all the time, and photo is like team A. And so we're like, maybe we need to start getting on collaborative phone calls beforehand and being like, how much time do you need to add into the photo timeline to make sure that if you want to go pose the couple or step in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just so it's not like constant like push and pull shoulder to shoulder in each other's frames.
So what I do, I won't have like a collaborative phone call, and I would say if you want to have that phone call, then sure, I would go ahead and have it. There's no harm to be done in having that phone call. But when I show up to a wedding and I haven't worked with this photographer before, hi, my name's Kyle, super excited to work with you. My style of shooting is very candid. If I get in your way, just be like, Kyle, get up out the way. I'll be like, my bad, and I'll scoot off to the side.
Okay, well, we want to work with you.
Yeah.
and likewise, if I need something, I will tell you I need something.
Yeah.
Totally.
Now, granted, again, my style is more candid, and so I'm assuming that the couple has hired the photographers to help with certain poses and things like that. I don't need you to pose because that's not my style of videography.
Right.
Now, granted, if my style was like a editorial and cinematic, you know what I mean, like
you're more
the
there
slow
for the
motion,
moments.
then I would say like, oh, I need to be able to control more. So then I do need a little bit more time to get this shot of the groom or this shot of the bride. You know, where like turn and look over your shoulder dramatically.
Right.
I don't do any of that. You know what I mean? So I think it would be a fair statement to say the photographers and videographer should both communicate nicely with each other
At the end
about,
of the
hey,
day,
this is how I
it's
shoot.
for the couple,
This is what we're doing. This is what the couple has hired me for.
Totally.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
Well,
Go
and that's
from there.
why you also hope that also your couples are all asking you or asking the planner that you have hired for good recommendations with people that work kind of have either, I guess, like-minded ideas, styles, or have somewhat of the same exact approach, so that way, because we pose, for us with our posing, it's very much keeping you guys in mind, knowing that like we like movement, you like movement. So if we're going to be making things easier for you, like it's going to be easier for us.
Time.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes the couple happier too, because they don't have to do the same thing over and over again.
Right.
Yeah. No, 100%. I just had a couple actually on this past weekend, and they booked their videographer bailed last second.
Oh, shut up.
So I got hired the morning of.
Oh God.
So I go there.
Oh my God, you're a saint.
So I go to the wedding
would
and
never
I say,
do
hey,
that.
normally I would have this on a consultation call, but like
I'm booked.
This is my type of style. It's very candid. Do you want candid, or would you like me to try to do something more like the cinematic or editorial? She said, no, I hate being posed. Don't tell me to pose at all. I said, perfect. Sounds good. We're having a great time today. The photographers that they had hired, and they were there, are so editorial and so posy.
Interesting.
And so
that is weird.
I honestly just felt bad for the couple though, because
there was
on video there's audio, so I can hear you say, oh great, another one where I have to look in the mirror.
Oh my God, I just cringed and died.
I was like, oh my God.
Another one where I have
your
to
couple was like, fuck you, Abbi.
Right. Seriously. Or like the parents were like, okay, now look at the parents. Oh, this is so awkward.
Cheesy.
We never do this.
Yes.
Jeez.
Oh, God.
And I'm just like, why would you hire them if you don't like that style? Like that should have been a conversation that the photographers should have had.
The huge alarm that I think I want couples to know is like that there are those differences. I don't think people know. It's not their fault. They don't know that there's editorial versus natural versus candid versus light and airy versus dark and moody versus whatever. And again, it's our job.
They see photos as pretty.
Yes, they
and
see
they're
an
like,
Instagram
that
feed
looks
and
good.
that's it.
Yep,
you know,
exactly.
I mean, we've talked before. I saw this video team make a couple do a first look 4 times.
I would lose my shit.
It was literally, I wanted to die watching. I was like, this is so awkward.
Like, why?
Because they could get every angle.
I know.
You should have had multiple shooters if you really wanted all the angles.
Yeah.
But couples don't realize that is what's happening. So yeah, like thinking about how do they achieve that look? Maybe those are the questions that you should be asking, you know?
That is such a good point, and I didn't even think to bring that up because I notice all the time. I'm like you. Like, I try not to stage anything except for obviously like family photos, big group photos of the wedding party and stuff 100%. Like that. But even like getting ready stuff, a lot of times people like move everything and put them in a perfect spot and have them do it 6 times and zip their dress. And it like totally ruined. Like if I were a bride, that would ruin my vibe.
The only thing I will say I will pose is just go towards light.
Yeah. Put them in good light.
That's about it.
Yeah. Do what you're doing over here.
I just need you to move your body over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.